What's up, guys? I'm Chad Barnes, and welcome to the channel. Here, it's all about real car talk, from simple fixes to smart driving tips and keeping your ride in top shape. If that sounds good to you, go ahead and give the video a thumbs up. Hit that subscribe button and make sure you watch all the way through. There's a lot of good stuff coming. Let's get to it.
It's impossible to talk about the history of automotive tires without mentioning names like John Boyd Dunlop, Charles Nelson Goodyear, and Edouard and André Michelin. And it is no coincidence that the companies bearing their names are among the elite of the world tire industry and premium tire models. Designed primarily for powerful and fast cars of top brands, make up a significant part of their production program. Michelin Pilot Sport tires fall into this category. Michelin has always paid great attention to working together with the car manufacturers for whom their products are intended, perhaps. That is why the French tire makers take the first place in supplying tires for the initial equipment of European cars. And it is to cooperation with Porsche, with the M division of BMW and AMG brands, and with the Court tuning studio of Mercedes brand, that we owe the appearance of Michelin Pilot Sport tire family in 1997. These tires featured a directional tread pattern, and for 1997 it was a truly bold and innovative solution. The novelty came to court, first of all, because of the huge potential for improvements in its design. And they did not keep waiting. In 2003, the Pilot Sport 2 model was presented, the first tire in history with a different composition of the tread compound on the outside and inside of the treadway. Such a solution allowed to provide confident grip on dry pavement, as well as in aggressive cornering at high speeds, while the composition of the rubber compound on the inner side of the tread was responsible for maximum grip on wet pavement. All this allowed the production car on Michelin Pilot Sport 2 tires to accelerate to 412 km per hour and set a world speed record for cars in this category. It was certainly a success. But Michelin developers did not rest on their laurels and continued to improve the family. In 2010, the Pilot Sport 3 model appeared, the first sports green tire with the programmable deformation technology, thanks to which the tread rubber compound was able to literally adjust to the tire's operating mode. And in 2011, the family was enriched with Michelin Pilot Super Sport tires with an aramid nylon breaker layer designed to improve handling. In 2016, the fourth generation of Pilot Sport tires was presented to the world, in the composition of the rubber mixture of which were added a functional elastomers of a new generation. They allowed the tread blocks to take the shape of the road surface, thus providing the maximum level of traction on wet roads. On top of this, the tires have been given an external feature to distinguish high-end products from mass-produced ones, the premium touch technology, first used on Michelin Pilot Sport Cup 2 track day tires, has given the outer sidewall lettering a premium velvet effect. The fourth generation of the Pilot Sport has been extremely popular over the years. In addition to the Pilot Sport 4 itself, it includes such tires as the sporty Pilot Sport 4s and the Pilot Sport 4 SUV. We told you about these tires, designed for powerful and fast crossovers and SUVs, in some detail, but time goes on, bringing new challenges. It is time for the fifth generation of the family to appear. But before we get to the story about Michelin Pilot Sport 5, let's see what these challenges are and what trends Michelin specialists had to take into account. Let us start with the green agenda. We can argue all we want about what part of environmental issues is really caused by objective processes and complex relations between the Earth's biosphere and human civilization, and what part is caused by purely political factors. But it is an objective fact that the problem of environmental protection is becoming more acute from year to year, and large responsible companies have to take this into account. Michelin has set an ambitious goal. By 2050, all of its production facilities must achieve carbon neutrality and zero harmful emissions. And all of its products must consist of 100% recycled materials. Of course, 2050 is a distant horizon, but there is a lot that can be done today. For example, implementing the concept of preserving performance despite wear and tear makes it possible to extend the service life of each set of tires by at least one season, and thus reduce the load on the environment. After all, a car tire is practically immune to external influences and in natural conditions decomposes very slowly, in 120 to 140 years. During its decomposition, various components, which are very harmful to nature and humans, are released into the environment: synthetic polymers, resins, silicic acid, and carbon black. More than 1 million tons of worn-out tires are thrown away in Russia every year, and, alas, most of them are not recycled, but end up in landfills, including spontaneous ones. The next most important direction is to reduce rolling resistance. The lower it is, the lower the fuel consumption, and therefore the lower the level of carbon dioxide emission into the atmosphere. However, reducing consumption is important not only for nature, but also for the car owner's wallet. There are also a number of purely market factors, such as the steady increase in the share of premium cars in total new car sales. In Russia, for example, the premium segment already accounts for 10% of the market. Accordingly, the market share of sports and premium tires is also growing. For example, in 2021, sales of premium tires in Russia exceeded 3 million units, which is 20% of the total volume. After all, premium tires are not only bought by owners of premium car brands. The market share of sports tires is also growing. Today it is 14% of all tires intended for use in the warm season of the year. Also, the market share of tires with tire diameters equal to or greater than 17 foot is constantly growing. Currently, the share of such sizes is about 20% of the total market and more than 40% in the premium segment. Michelin specialists had a more than serious basis for further developments. The Pilot Sport 4 model proved itself in the best way. Won a stable market position and received, as the Americans say, good press. So, out of 14 comparative tests which were conducted by the most picky European and Russian automobile publications, in 11 it took the first place and 3 more in the top 3. Naturally, the developers decided to act according to the principle one does not look for good from good, having kept all the main design solutions and without too radical changes. Another thing is that all the elements have been improved, including the trademark velvet strip premium touch, on which the names of the brand and model are applied. Now this stripe occupies almost the entire circumference of the sidewall. As they say, it does not affect the speed, but it looks really expensive and rich. But other improvements are already quite functional. Let's start with the tread pattern. At first glance, it looks similar to that of the previous generation. In fact, the outer tread blocks have been made significantly stiffer for better handling and greater stability in tight corners, while the inner side has more developed grooves, or, as the tire makers say, a greater proportion of negative profile for better water drainage from the contact patch and optimal grip on wet surfaces. At the same time, both the overall pattern and the rubber compound used embody the max touch construction concept, i.e., the system of optimal pressure distribution in the contact patch. Another important element of this system, which ensures precise control in high-speed corners, is the outer layer of the breaker made of aramid nylon fibers. And here it is appropriate to remind that aramid fibers, under the names Kevlar, Twaron, Nomex, Rusa, are the very material that goes into the manufacture of body armor and military protective helmets. Another important component is, of course, the composition of the rubber compound. And here in this matter Michelin representatives, of course, are as dark as their competitors. In the release they write about a new rubber compound, which includes functional elastomers that provide an excellent level of grip with a high service life, but what specific substances they are talking about is kept in the strictest secrecy. And this secret is kept no less strictly than the codes of the nuclear suitcase or plans for the use of special operations forces. Nevertheless, according to the results obtained by the company TUVSUD, when braking on wet asphalt from a speed of 80 km/h to 20 km/h, Pilot Sport 5 provides a braking distance of 22.0 meters and Pilot Sport 4, 22.5 meters. A VW Golf equipped with the 225/40R18 Pilot Sport 4 did a lap of the track in 49.39 seconds, while a Pilot Sport 5 of the same size did so in 48.52 seconds. However, there is nothing surprising in the fact that the new generation showed better performance than the previous one. It should be so. But how does the novelty look in comparison with its very famous competitors? And here the Michelin employees did not make a shadow on the wicker and let the journalists see for themselves. The test runs were held in Chechnya at the Fortress Groznaya Autodrome. First of all, there were track races with 3 cars in turn, one shot in Michelin Pilot Sport 5, the other 2 in competitors from Goodyear and Bridgestone, as these brands had just updated their sports lines. The first lap was a test and familiarization lap, the second one was as fast as possible. What can I say? Perhaps my highwaying experience was just not enough to reveal serious disadvantages and advantages. But it seemed to me that on Michelin tires I felt a little bit more confident and I passed the corners a little bit faster. Besides, it seemed to me that it makes a little less noise than its competitors. However, this is subjective, there was no timekeeping during the races and the noise level was not measured. But, according to some colleagues, these tires have no worse characteristics than track tires Pilot Sport 4S and to some extent can replace them. In a completely different situation, Michelin offered us a chance to see if the concept of maintaining performance against wear was real. In this case, we had to check the braking performance on wet asphalt of identical BMWs fitted with Michelin Pilot Sport 5 tires and the same Goodyear and Bridgestone tires, designated in the protocols as Competitor 1 and Competitor 2. Each of the participants makes 2 runs on each type of tire, and both acceleration to a given speed and braking distance is recorded by the TrekLogic device. The next series of races, the same 3 tires, but with wear corresponding to about 3 seasons of use, that is, the remaining tread depth of about 1.6 mm. And if the performance of all 3 new tires was very close, then in the category of tires with wear Michelin showed complete and overwhelming superiority. The braking distance of the worn Pilot Sport 5 increased from about 25 to about 30 meters, while the competitors needed 35 to 40 meters to stop. I can call this comparison absolutely objective. About 24 independent drivers participated in the races, who themselves read the data of TrekLogic devices and filled in the protocols. What else can be said about the new tire? Only that the new tires will be sold in 40 sizes with seat diameters from 17 to 21 inches, with the greatest variety in the size of 18 and 19 inches, 14 and 13 variants, respectively. At the same time as the Michelin Pilot Sport 5, another new product, the Pilot Sport EV tire designed specifically for electric vehicles, is also being introduced to the market. Wait a minute. A person following the events in the automotive world will say, what's so new? Wasn't it back in 2014 that Michelin introduced the Pilot Sport EV tire designed specifically for the new Formula E series cars, or am I mistaken? Yes, it's true, there is no mistake, and the French tire makers did sign a contract to exclusively equip all electric cars of this series with tires with a landing diameter of 18 foot. But now the contract is over, and the sales of electric cars are growing at a noticeable rate, and a significant share in the sales of electric cars are powerful and fast cars such as Jaguar I-Pace, Porsche Taycan, Audi e-tron, BMW 9, Tesla Model Y. It would be a sin not to use the accumulated experience. But it is still impossible to just launch Formula tires for civilian sale. Firstly, these tires have a lot of unnecessary things that are needed only for racing, in particular, built-in sensors. Secondly, production electric cars are at least 2, if not 3 times heavier than Formula E cars, which necessitated appropriate design changes. Secondly, owners of virtually silent electric cars have special requirements for the noise level of the tires with which their cars are equipped. This is particularly true for owners of premium brands. At the same time, both racing and civilian tires must be able to digest the enormous torque that electric car engines develop from 0 RPM and have minimal rolling resistance to minimize energy consumption from the batteries. It is with these prerequisites in mind that the civilian Michelin Pilot Sport EV was developed. First of all, the designers took care of the acoustic comfort in the cabin by applying acoustic technology, i.e., providing the inner surface of the tire with an additional layer of polyurethane foam. By the way, something tells me that soon we will see this technical solution implemented on other models of the brand. But in general, when creating the Pilot Sport EV tire, the solutions developed by Michelin specialists during 6 seasons of Formula E were applied. Among them is the electric grip compound technology, the essence of which is the use of a stiffer rubber compound in the central part of the tread. This is necessary for the effective transmission of high torque of the electric motor, while the composition of the compound in the shoulder zone helps to reduce energy consumption and increase mileage on a single battery charge. MaxTouch construction technology is also used to achieve optimum pressure distribution in the contact patch. And, of course, the sidewalls of the standard road tires feature the same pattern and velvet markings as the Formula E racing tires. And to make sure that the Pilot Sport EV really does have outstanding performance and, first of all, exceptionally low rolling resistance, we were asked to take part in a simple test. Two identical Jaguar I-Pace cars are lined up at the start line, accelerated to 40 km per hour, then put into neutral and the cars roll to a complete stop. One car is fitted with Pilot Sport EV tires, the other with Pilot Sport 4 tires, which, by the way, also have a very low value of. The indicator of interest. The distance to which each of the cars involved in the test rolls away is recorded by the TrekLogic device. The results were indeed very clear. The Pilot Sport EV provided a significantly higher coasting distance, with the difference amounting to 20 meters. So there is nothing surprising in the fact that Pilot Sport EV tires are accepted as standard primary equipment for such models as Tesla Model Y, Mercedes-AMG EQS and Hyundai Ioniq 5. For the first year of production, there are 16 sizes in fitment diameters from 18 to 22 inches, 11 for the primary package and 5 for the replacement market. In conclusion, the Michelin Pilot Sport 5 and Sport EV tires truly set a new standard for performance and longevity. With their innovative design and advanced technology, these tires not only enhance your driving experience but also provide exceptional grip and stability on various surfaces. Whether you're navigating winding roads or cruising on the highway, you can trust these tires to deliver a smooth and responsive ride. So, if you're looking to elevate your driving experience, consider making the switch to Michelin's latest offerings. Thank you for joining us as we explored the impressive capabilities of the Pilot Sport 5 and Sport EV tires. Safe driving.